I'm joined by my friend Andrew Fitzmaurice, who is the CEO of MorePeople, a fantastic recruitment consultancy that operate nationally based in Lincolnshire. Andrew, thank you so much for joining me.
No worries.
We've been friends a while. We first met a few years ago as part of an awards program. Can you talk to me a bit about your business and what you do?
We're a recruitment company based in Stamford, but we recruit all around the UK, a little bit internationally as well. And we focus on primarily food. So it's end-to-end supply chain within food.
Yep.
So we'll do supermarket head office recruitment for the roles they can't fill, mid to senior level roles they can't fill themselves very easily. And then we go all the way through the supply chain into primary agriculture.
Have you always been in recruitment?
Yeah. So I did a chemistry degree at Newcastle and then did the most appropriate thing with a chemistry degree and went straight to London and worked in recruitment.
So why do you think it's such an appealing area to work in?
Classically, I think people fall into it. It's one of those when I didn't know what to do, but I've got something about me, then you go into recruitment, is I think how a lot of people end up in it. From a career perspective, working for us or working in recruitment, you get exposed to a lot of different industries, a lot of different skills. So it's quite nice as a broad kind of holistic career. And the earning potential is also pretty good. It's very, very transparent and clear.
In terms of your business as an entity, you've been operating for a number of years in and around Stamford. Why do you think your business has been so successful recently?
I guess it applies for lots of industries, but specifically for recruitment. When you look at how recruitment companies want to grow, the aspirations are often there, but oftentimes the personnel aren't, or the infrastructure isn't, or people aren't prepared to do the things they need to do to grow. Well, we've long identified what those things are, what those barriers are to growth, and we just seem to have ticked a lot of them off in recent times. And we've gone from a dozen people to 28 people in a relatively short space of time. We took on a new office, which I think physically helped. And I think that helps with challenging some of the self-limiting belief. We keep using the phrase dare to dream in lots of one-to-ones. And I think people can now see a bit more clearly the reality of the vision that for a long time has been in my head and the other directors' heads.
Obviously, this podcast is primarily about encouraging people to be more visually impactful in terms of video content. But obviously, your office rebrand and your office redesign also lends to that. How important have you seen the rise in visual media, the rise in video content within your particular industry, within recruitment?
There's so much more available to people online now, candidates and clients, but let's think about candidates, whether that's candidates that we're placing into our clients or candidates for our internal processes. There's so much more resource online than there ever has been. And I know some people might take that for granted, but either way, you really need to use it. So if you wanted to bleed a radiator and you didn't know how, the first thing you're going to do rather than call a plumber is Google it, watch a YouTube video. Before you know where you are, you're an expert in bleeding radiators.
Yeah, that's right.
In the olden days, you'd ring your dad and ask him how to do it. When it comes to how you articulate career paths or training or interview prep, as we're trying to articulate who a particular client might be, YouTube or company websites, are clearly such a massive part of it.
Yeah.
And I think depending on how people learn, what learning styles you've got, some people are very, very auditory, some people like to read, but the impact of videos, I've just sent you one for a client. It's a really cool video and is much more engaging and sells a story and tells a narrative about what it's like to work here far more than a headed job spec is ever going to do.
So have you seen a lot more of that, certainly over the last maybe 18 months or so, where firms who are coming to you looking for new candidates are saying to you, we want a video as part of that job advert, or we've got a video here that we've just sat in front of a camera and chatted so that they can meet the MD. How are they using video more?
Some are doing better than others. I still think it's a massively under-resourced aspect that people could use. So classically, if you're a bigger company with a bigger brand, you've got more time and money to invest into it.
Yeah, of course.
But paradoxically, I think if you're a smaller business and people don't know who you are, it's probably as important, if not more so. If I said we're recruiting for Marks and Spencers, you already know who Marks and Spencers are. You've already got an opinion, and there's TV commercials and so on. You know the brand.
Yeah.
If you're a supplier to Marks and Spencers of a product that isn't a brand, so you don't buy a brand of carrots, you don't buy a brand of ready meals, you go and buy the product right? But there's companies, hundreds of companies, brilliant businesses behind those things, but they're not household names. They don't need to be household names. Articulating who that company is to a prospective candidate can be quite difficult and a bit dusty and boring if there's nothing to bring it to life, and potentially investing time in that company brand. It might even be simple stuff like social channels, which don't cost anything, but showcasing the talent they've got, or taking people on some kind of journey, to focus on a sector or an individual and do that, how did you get here kind of piece. It doesn't have to be whizzy drone footage, that shows something really cool, because not everyone's got an environment that's necessarily all that visual from a drone perspective.
Yeah,
if you can, brilliant, right?
Yeah,
but
of course.
There's plenty of things you could do.
Why did you have video content produced? What was the point?
Recruitment is really difficult to articulate a point of difference. The USPs that companies can trot out, you almost need unique USPs. It's very, very difficult to articulate through a vision or some values or a website who you actually are. And I know that for lots of businesses, to be fair, but particularly for ours, one of the key strengths is the people that we've got.
Of course, yeah.
How down to earth they are, how professional they are, how curious they are. They definitely fly in the face of the stereotype of what a recruiter is. But how do you articulate that? You might have articulated it in practice over the years, and you'll have clients and candidates that are really big advocates for you, but you're touching a very small percentage of people with that. So I think to allow our talent, our internal people to come to the front and go, this is who we are, this is what we're about, somehow it seems more, not necessarily more genuine, but it seems easier to articulate. He's a nice guy, she's a nice girl, she seems very credible, he knows his stuff.
Well, credible is important, because I think fundamentally what video content does for people, it allows people to start to open that door and starts to get to know who you are and get to know who your people are. I've met a load of your team. They're brilliant people. They're keen, they're passionate, they're focused on, on what they're wanting to deliver for themselves, but also for the business as a whole. We did a series with you about meeting each of the individual people and the individual teams, and they were so popular. Locally, we actually got a couple of other jobs because people saw them online and went, they're great. They really let people in.
Yeah, 100%. If you can find a way to do it authentically, then that's where I think people are very quick to cynically judge stuff, right?
Yeah, of course.
They're pretty switched on, people these days, with the amount of content that they get. So I think authenticity is huge, and it showcases the fact that we've got a range of different people. So we've got a culture at MorePeople that you feel and you can appreciate just by stepping into the building, and it is consistent. One of the things in that growth question from earlier about how we've managed to do it, the fact that things are scalable is massive. So you deal with more people and you get the same kind of service, the same kind of perspectives and pedigree, no matter who you deal with. It doesn't really matter. However, there's a range of different people. We're not churning out cookie cutter clones, mini versions of me. It's nice that that might be. So the fact you can showcase those different personalities is huge.
Yeah,
and it changes from function to function. And it's a massive strength in depth for us. If you don't like my style, you can deal with somebody else. Or if you've got a technical role which is incredibly detailed, and someone who's going to get really under the skin of the complexities of some technical system or some technical process, you roll out that person who loves it. You've got a very sales and marketing job. You've got another person over here who loves that. And if you go through our team on those videos, you can see straight away that there's this common thread of, hopefully, authenticity and pedigree and curiosity and passion. But it's a real pirate crew in some regards, you know, how different some of those people actually are.
Bag.
Yeah,
100% a mixed bag. But that's what makes a strong team. In terms of actual video content then for your business, you're starting to drop that in a lot more regularly into your social media and all those other sorts of things. Do you think your clients are responding to that?
It's a bit like when you post a picture on Instagram for all of my 15 followers and you get 3 likes, but if you post it on your story, you can see it's been viewed by 100 people.
Yeah.
And you think, how does that work? So people are clearly seeing stuff, they're just not always engaging with it. And I meet people, clients and candidates all the time who seem to know everything that's going on at MorePeople because they're seeing our LinkedIn.
How difficult have you found it you know, because you're quite an outgoing person anyway, because of the nature of the job that you do. How do you think that's evolved for you? You know, have you found it difficult?
Yeah, I have. It's weird, just the presence of a camera somehow alters. It's like Schrodinger's cat.
Yeah.
Is it dead or is it not dead?
Yeah,
Don't know if I look in the box. It changes, how you behave. So part of the reason for doing so much of it is to try and get to the point where you're comfortable. And the team have gone through a lot of that evolution, and the more you practice presenting in front of a crowd or getting on camera, I think the easier it gets. But it almost feels like it's become so much more necessary. My wife does some social for her business, and they're really good at it. All of them. It's almost like you have to be good at this. It's remiss to not do it, and they do it far more frequently than I do it, and then they're better at it than I am. The measurement of the ROI doesn't bother me so much, because I think it is in that classic marketing adage of half my marketing works.
Yeah.
I just don't know which half.
Yeah.
So you just do it all. I draw Venn diagrams endlessly on the whiteboard. But I think we've got three circles of target. We've got content and stuff that we do for our clients, stuff that we do for our candidates, and stuff that we do for internal. And those three circles are different sizes and they overlap in slightly different areas. Occasionally you can nail one that's exactly in the middle, so it's benefiting everybody. But some of it has got the right tonality for clients. And we had a debate this morning. We're actually doing a website refresh, which will make it will make the video content fit more easily on the website. But the tone of the internal piece is, look at me, I've got a sweatshirt on. This is how we work. This is how we laugh and engage, how we train, how we get on the phone, how we play table tennis, how we have a beer at the end of the day. That's a very different message, potentially, not always, but potentially, to this is the hat I wear to do chief exec level recruitment for £250,000 roles, where I'll bang my suit on and do up a tie potentially. It's odd because you don't want to be, you worry about being disingenuous or confusing to the audience because you do both things. I don't find it complicated. I can wear both hats on different days. Today I'm dressed like this. I'm not going to meet any clients. No. Yesterday I had a shirt and a jacket on. Yeah. Because you're really concerned that you have to articulate and you don't want to ostracize any given market.
Yeah, that's right.
Because they're perceiving you to be, you can't do my finance director recruitment because I've seen you in a t-shirt playing foosball and having a beer. Now, maybe not. I think the world's moved on. One of the unintended consequences of COVID and that whole lockdown was that people changed their perspectives on Teams, Zoom, FaceTime, dress down.
They were reserved for massive corporate entities. They weren't commonplace terms that you and I would, I mean, you might have done. I came across Zoom a couple of times, but really light touch, and then they became commonplace. Everyone in the world was using them.
But also how they were used. So, we were a shirt and trousers, shirt and suit kind of business that had maybe just introduced 1 day's worth of dress down pre-lockdown. And then we worked through lockdown and proved that it made no difference really.
No.
As far as output's concerned. So when we came back, it's like, what's the point? Okay, dress like you're dressed on purpose and dress relatively smartly. And if you're going to meet somebody else,
I like that. Dress like you're dressed on purpose.
Yeah, be meeting ready.
Yeah.
Is another one. But people have become a lot more tolerant to different things, and I don't think are placing the same kind of importance on some of those superficial things as they used to. But I'm still very cognizant of those three circles and how you trying to articulate three different messages via oftentimes the same platforms, without it being confusing or disjointed.
What would be, your three bits of advice around video content?
The first one would be you're probably conspicuous by your absence if you haven't got something. So it's easy to do for the most part, so you need to do something. Secondly, I think if you have then gone to that point of doing something, make sure it's done well and frequently. There's no point in doing something and leaving it dusty and 7 years out of date, or doing an Instagram and updating it, or doing LinkedIn posts and then being rubbish. And we've talked a lot in the past about our bugbear of sound quality, for example, because everyone could do nice videos on phones to a point, but sound quality, it does your head in. The third thing I would suggest is I make the most of it as far as recruitment processes are concerned. Not to necessarily showcase the most worthy things, but definitely to showcase what life is like within a business. So showing that narrative of what a career journey looks like, what the culture looks like, because you can do culture on a video. You can't do culture on a job spec.
No.
Even if it's values related or vision related, you can't do the culture. You can only feel the culture from being there and absorbing it. If you can't be there and absorb it in the office, then seeing the office or the people through the lens of a video is probably the closest thing you're going to get to it. I'm not saying that ours is the right way to do it or the only way to do it. If you watch our videos, the Meet the Team ones in particular are fairly light-hearted.
Yeah.
Because it's a people organisation and you want to do business with people that are credible and trustworthy and so on.
And that you like.
But you like. So if you get an injection of personality, it's not a bad thing to crack a smile or say something stupid, because I think it's quite endearing and it's going to make the people you've got working for you likeable.
Fantastic. Andrew, thanks so much for your time today. I really appreciate it. And I wish you continued success.
Thanks, buddy.
Cheers, mate.
Cheers.